Hey guys, so in this video today, I just want to take you through essentially the whole process of a sales call. So pre-call through to actually signing them on, onboarding them. So we'll go through this step by step, but I just want to go through basically every single process you should go through, which will improve your show-up rates, improve your sales calls, make you actually enjoy your sales calls, make sure you're actually closing deals. And if you get to the end of the sales call and the person isn't ready to buy at that moment in time, also the process that you should be following to ensure you have a next step locked in so you can keep that person in your sales pipeline and it doesn't just drift and you never hear from them again. So the golden rule here, which we'll go through, is BAMFAM. So that stands for book a meeting for a meeting. So what that means is, say for example you get to the end of a sales call and the person's like, yep, not ready to make a decision yet, or I need to speak with XYZ, or I'm not decision maker, or whatever it might be. The only thing you need to do at the end of that call, rather than trying to convince them or persuade them or anything like that, is just ensure that you have another call in the diary at a later date where you can get everyone who needs to be on there, or they've had a chance to speak with people. So get them to agree that by that time they'll have achieved whatever they need to do, so you can then move the deal forward. Or by that point, also a case of that they're not ready to move forward, they're not actually interested, but at least now you know. But the key behind this is just ensuring that the process isn't going to drift. You have the person locked in, so then they know as well that they have a deadline that they're committing to. So first of all, we're going to go through pre-call. So as you can see here, a lead books in a call. The next thing is then, before you have that call, what you should be doing is researching the prospects. You need to understand what their business does. So look at their website, their LinkedIn, there could be their school community, it can be absolutely anything, but just make sure you fully understand what that prospect does and the problem that they have. What you should also have as well on the pre-call process as well is a sales call sort of calendar, and in that'll ask them particular questions around things that you need answers for beforehand. So the key here really is just ensuring that you're getting some rough idea really of why they actually booked the call in. So it could be a case of, like, for example, with our outbound agency, we ask things like, what is the biggest outbound challenge you're kind of looking to solve in the next 30, 60, 90 days? And then sort of a few probing questions around that, so that once you get onto the call, you can like, cool, I saw you saw on the said on the calendar invite rather, and that this is what you're struggling with. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that? So again, off the bat, you've already uncovered kind of the first pain or problem that they're looking to fix. So yeah, that's something I would think through. You can use things like Claude as well to help you map those out. And also in our community, we have some suggestions on sort of questions you should be asking too. So you can jump in the free trial for those as well. And yeah, so once they've booked in, just make sure you understand more about them. With the calendar, so we use Calendly as well for this for reference. Along with the questions, you should also have some automation set up. So this will allow you to send over some pre-call assets. So that can be social proof if you have a sales brochure, any case studies. I'm also using this to pre-handle objections. And what I mean by that is, when you have your sales calls with your prospects, you'll typically get a lot of the same objections coming up around timing, not seeing the value, pricing, whatever it might be. I'm not saying it's a one size fits all here. You'll get different objections. It's a case by case thing. But once you've run 5, 10, 15 sales calls, you'll have a bit of an objection bank of people having the same problems that they're raising with you. So what you can actually do in your sales brochure is actually just have like a section that actually addresses those. So before the call, when people are joining, they'll have read through them and be like, oh, I'm worried about, oh, that's already answered in there. So then once you get onto the call, you can go around it in a little bit more detail, but it kind of means that they're at ease, because if they didn't like the answer in your sales call brochure, chances are they might reach out to you and say this actually isn't a fit or XYZ. So again, this is also used as a bit of a qualification method. And the other thing too, by sending this, is it actually warms up your prospects. So you've got to realize, especially if it's cold outreach, a lot of people won't trust you. They don't know who you are. They don't know what results you delivered. So if they can look through your brochure or your case studies or whatever it might be, and they can see other businesses in the same situation as they are now, who solve that problem and have got to the point they want to get to, they'll instantly be relaxed. They'll be at ease because they can see that, oh, this outcome was delivered for other people in my exact situation. I want this as well. And then automated reminders, so you should just have one that's 24 hours before and an hour before. And then, of course, like the one that'll be in their calendar for 5 minutes before as well, just to make sure they show up. This will massively help you. And with that as well, you can also have a confirmation one that goes out 24 hours before. So asking them to reconfirm that they can still make it. And if they say no, they'll have the option there and then to rebook. So you're not going to rock up to the call and then again no one's actually showed up, because they have the opportunity to again confirm they're coming. Don't get me wrong, you'll get people still who say they can make it or ignore the pre-call confirmation and don't show up. You are going to get some no-shows. That's just part of the game of sales, but this will help to minimize that and warm those people up. And then the final thing that you should be doing is setting up a space, so with a desk or wherever you are, that you look smart. There's no background noise, you've got a good Wi-Fi connection, camera on. You don't want to be in a place like a cafe where there's people walking behind you, there's people bringing you coffee over, and people trying to talk to you. You want to be able to focus on the prospect, make sure it's a nice relaxed call, it's a friendly conversation with that person. You want to have a recording and transcription turned on so you can go back and review those later on. Especially with the transcriptions, you can put those into AI now, like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever one you use. Ask it to give you feedback, and then it'll begin to become trained up as well, so it can give you more accurate feedback based off your sales style, objections you missed, things you could have done better, things you can put into the recap email to address any concerns that you missed on the call. So I do that as well. But yeah, step by step here in the pre-call, just need to make sure once they've booked the call, you've researched them properly, you send over before the call any assets that will help warm them up, hand on your objections, automated reminders to ensure you have more people showing up and reduce the no-shows. And then finally, just make sure you're sat in a good place that's quiet and you're recording and transcribing the call. So the call itself, when you open the call, the build rapport. So what I mean by this is, like, I see this with a lot of salespeople and also a lot of sales calls that I've joined where they try to kind of make fake rapport and be like overly friendly and stuff. I don't think you really need to do that. You can just like, oh hey, like where are you calling from? Like thank you for joining. Do you mind if we get straight into it? I don't think you really need to go too much into pleasantries, unless of course you know that person, or while doing your research you notice something that you have in common, i.e. you're from the same place or you went to the same school or whatever it might be. But if there isn't really anything there that's relatable between the two of you, I wouldn't waste any time trying to build rapport, because that if they like you, they'll buy from you. That isn't really how it works. So open the call up, just reference something, be friendly, and then set the agenda. Like, cool, do you mind if we dive straight into it? This is what we're going to be covering today. This is what we're looking at. Before we do that, is there anything that I should be aware of? You may get a yes, and they'll give you a little bit more context, but typically they'll be like, nope. So, okay, cool. So then you'll get into the discovery. And what you want to do here, the overall goal really is just to fully understand their situation. What is their problem that they're trying to solve? What is their goal? What is the timeline that they have in mind to fix this? Have they tried to fix this before? What other sort of solutions or companies have they worked to trying to fix this? Why is this such a problem? So once you can actually then put yourself into your prospect's brain and be like, cool, if I was in their shoes, this is why this is so annoying. Get all the answers around that. Once you have that, you can then start to put together your pitch or what you're going to go through next, which then ties into everything that they've kind of mentioned. Once you've done that as well, the key thing that you must do, which so many people don't do, is this person you're speaking to actually a decision maker? So you don't have to find this out on the call. So for example, if you've booked in, it's a one-person company and you're meeting with the founder, like that's the decision maker. If it's a bigger company, you may need to ask on the call itself, but do what you can before to determine, is this a person who can give me sign off on this? But if not, ask the person, are you the person who's authorized to sign this off? No, that will be John in accounts, for example. Okay, cool. I think it would make sense if we rebook the call with all of you so we can go through everything at once. You'll get a lot of people like, yep, that's not a problem, but I've been asked beforehand if I can just scope this out and go back to them with some information. You can then say, yep, that's not a problem at all. But you need to have in your mind that the goal now on this call is to give them a high-level overview, which is compelling enough for them to go to that person with the information, but also to get that second call booked in with the decision makers, because realistically, that's the person you need to be speaking with. So once you've taken care of these first couple steps, the next thing you want to do is confirm the problem and the cost of doing nothing. So there's a very good book on this called Gap Selling. What you want to do is kind of outline to them This is where you are now. If you don't make this change, where are you going to be in 3, 6, 12 months? And once you can get that prospect to start to internalize that problem, they understand that doing nothing isn't really an option here. We have to do something or things are only going to get worse. Then they'll start to sell themselves. They'll then understand the value, etc. This isn't easy to do, by the way. That's why you have to have some very good discovery questions. It'll take a little bit of practice, a little bit of refinement going through your script to ensure that you're covering everything that you need. But once you can get that person, like I said, to be like, yep, if we don't fix this, this is only going to get worse. We're going to continue losing deals to our competitor. We're not going to be able to hit our revenue goals, whatever it might be. They'll then be like, okay, cool. And then they'll be more concentrated on what you're saying as well, which again will only make your sales pitch a lot easier. So once you've confirmed that, the next thing to do is to present a tailored solution. So again, what you're doing here is selling the outcome, not the feature. So the person doesn't want to know, again, give you the outbound example. What we're going to do is set up a system, set up mailboxes, warm up domains. They don't care about that. What they want to know is what is going to be the outcome of working with you. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll have meetings booked. You'll be meeting with your prospects, whatever it might be. You start to fill your pipeline with people who are fit for your solution. That is the thing that they're looking for, with the opportunity to start selling deals rather than like, we're going to start sending emails. So again, just sit down for a couple of minutes with a pen and paper, write down what is the outcome of working with you, what will that person want, what is the benefit of working with you, and then you can then lead with that. With this as well, one thing that I think is often missed, again, just from my sales experience and from being on calls with people selling to me, is the sales pitch doesn't have to be like very in depth of like, this is why you need it, this is amazing. It just has to address their problem. You need to just having a conversation with people. That's all sales is. Say, you have this problem, this is how we would fix it, this would be the outcome of us fixing it. And once the person can see that, that's all that they really need to know. You don't need to overly persuade them. If the person says this isn't what we're looking for or this isn't a fit, that's the end of the call as far as I'm concerned. Like, okay, that's not a problem. If this isn't what you're looking for, and we can kind of call it here and then move on, because the last thing you want to do is kind of trick people or persuade people or convince people that this is what they need when it isn't, because it's only going to cause problems further down the line. And then the next thing, once you've gone through all of that, is the trial close. So how does that sound so far? You want to try get a yes here, or if they say, sounds good, but that's what you're listening out for. That's the objection. Oh, it sounds good, but this might be too expensive. Oh, this takes too long. We're more looking for this or that. And a lot of times here, what they'll say or the but will be is not something that you don't offer. It's just that you've misunderstood the first part, and now you've uncovered the actual thing that they're looking for. Because people can also be guarded with you as well. They don't want to give you, lay all their cards on the table, give you all the answers. So you can then start to redirect your solution about, okay, no, I fully understand, so that's how we would address this piece as well. But again, maybe a case of yeah, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. We were looking for this, and again, end of the call, but at least you've qualified that person out. You haven't wasted time going through the objections, talking through all the details, because again, with a sales call, it's just an exercise to see if the person is a fit for what you help with, and then showing them how you help them. So with this piece here, so how's that sound so far? And if there's any objection or hesitation, and they do hesitate or object, the common objections you're likely to get are, I need to think about it, it's too expensive, or I don't have budget, I need to speak to my partner, my team. So in this case, book a meeting from a meeting. Now isn't the right time, book a meeting from a meeting. Just send me the info, why you over everyone else. With all of these as well, what I would do is spend some time putting together some actual answers to these. They don't have to be massively rehearsed or scripted, but just so that if someone says that to you on the spot, you're like, okay, cool, I know why they're saying this because I didn't do this properly at the start, or this is why. So for example, now isn't the right time. Before you book a meeting for a meeting, ask why isn't the right time? Is it budget? Like what is it that you're looking to do? You just need to understand from these people's perspective why they're kind of resisting. It may be a case of, I found many times when selling to people that they've been burnt before. So it's just about kind of building that trust with them, and if anything, removing the risk from them. So if you have anything like a guarantee as well, this can massively help you here. For example, if we don't achieve X result in X amount of days, I'll give you all your money back. A lot of people will be receptive to that because they've been burnt by other businesses in the past. So just something to bear in mind. So with this as well, you'll have these objections here, and again, you're handling them, you're not arguing with the person. So if the person goes, oh, I don't think this is right, you don't have to argue with them and say, well, it is right and this and that, but okay, cool, why don't you think it's right? All you're looking to do here is diagnose, just understand from their perspective, Why aren't they ready to go ahead? The next thing here in terms of handling any objection, so like I said, you're acknowledging it, you're asking a question, isolate the objection. So what that means is when you kind of want to pull it apart. So, oh, so you've said this. Why are you saying that? What you said at the start, this. So just understand fully why they're bringing up the objection, answer the objection, and then say, cool. Yeah, how does that sound? And then kind of go back into the reclose. And then again, in this point, you're asking for the sale. So Harrison put together a very good video on this as well on the channel, but saying things like, I'll be ready to rock and roll, we're ready to move ahead, should we do this? Questions like that. Again, just you want that person to say yes. A lot of people here will panic. They don't want to ask for the sale, which means they won't get the sale, because you're also giving a prospect an easy out as well, because as nervous as you are, the prospect is also as nervous in terms of committing their money and time to you. So that's again just something to bear in mind. So in this point, if you ask for the sale, you get a yes. You then moving into taking payment, signing now, get it done. If they say no, not yet, but again, okay, that's fine. And maybe a case that you have to go back through the objection. So asking them what's holding them back. Again, here, you don't have to go very aggressive and be like, don't like, oh, we're not going to get off this call until we get the answer you want kind of thing. You just need to understand if the objection they're making is valid, or it's more a case of they're not interested, they're not willing to commit. It's not a bigger pain point as they initially said. Just so that, again, you're not just wasting their time, you're not wasting your own time. So with this process here, so go back through the objections, handle it if you can. If you can't, book a meeting from a meeting, and before you leave, just make sure that if, again, like we said at the start, any decision makers aren't on there, get them locked in. So yeah, we got the yes here, take the payment, and now you're onto the onboarding the client. So again, this will be different depending on your process, but what you want to do here is send the agreement and invoice immediately. As soon as you get off the call, get it straight over to them. You don't want them time to think themselves out of the sale or go, oh, I want to go look at competitors or anything like this. Get it over to them, make it as easy as possible for them to pay you, move to the next step. And once that's done, everything's paid, they've signed, you might have to answer a few questions around the agreement or make any tweaks to it, and that's something that gets raised quite a lot, especially if people, like I said, have been burnt in the past. But that's something to bear in mind. You then want to send a welcome message, so if that's an email, a Slack message, a text, a phone call, whatever it might be, then set the expectations. So cool, payment received, contract signed. What happens next is then the person knows what to expect. They're not kind of sat there like, well, I've paid you, given you my money, what happens now? Because that's the worst case to be in. I'd be in that situation myself. You've given someone a decent amount of money, and you're kind of sat there like, cool, like is anything going to happen now? Was that a scam? Like, what's going on? So make sure you communicate. If anything, over communicate with the client at the start, just making sure they're fully informed on the process. Then book in the kickoff or onboarding call. Send that in the link in the welcome message as well, letting them pick a time that suits them. So then that is then to them the clear and obvious next step is cool. We've paid, we've signed, we've been onboarded. Now we've got the call to discuss everything in detail. We can get cracking. The other thing here, which I want to spend a little bit of time discussing, is getting a quick win. So I know obviously case by case, it can be different depending on what your offer is and this kind of thing, but you want them to get a win as soon as possible so that they feel like, cool, the investment I've given this person is justified. So again, with the outbound example, typically within the first couple of weeks, we will get the client set up with a system. So that's the first win. They've got everything sat there warming up. So they're like, cool. Now we have to wait 2 weeks to warm up. And then once we launch, within that first 30 days, including the 2 weeks of warm up, we want to get them a positive reply or two from clients. So then instantly it vindicates the system. There's proof of concept that it works. And then they're a little bit relaxed. Okay, cool. I've seen how this works now. Now we just need to build on this, refine copy, that kind of stuff. But again, maybe be different depending on your offer, but it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's revenue generating. It just has to be something that warrants the investment they're giving to you and they can see and they're progressing in the right direction. And then once you've done all of this, you've had your partnership, the key thing to do here, which is often overlooked, is actually asking for a referral testimonial. Like, look, John, we've worked with you now for 60 days. We've delivered you X results, which obviously you said was critical, which is why you signed up with us in the first place. Is there anyone else you know who is struggling with this or that we could help? And chances are they'll know a couple of people in their network or their industry or something like that they can refer you to, or some friends, and be like, cool. And also, because your results are so impressive, we're so happy with how this has turned out for you, would you mind sort of taking 10-15 minutes to just do a quick video testimonial with us, just to talk through your experience, results so far, what this has meant for your business, and just if you'd recommend anyone to anyone else. And the other thing you can do here as well, which has helped us massively, is giving the person a chance to explain what their business does, so that if anyone watching it, it's basically free marketing for them too. So if you can spin that as, not only is this going to be benefiting us, it will benefit you too, because we'll post this everywhere. People who need your solution will also be able to find it from this as well. So again, just also give them a benefit from doing this as well. Maybe you give them a voucher or anything like that, but just an incentive, so it doesn't feel like they've paid you money, then they have to sit here and promote you further. Just think about the give-get theory. If you don't know about that, probably do a video on that at some point, but to get something from someone, you want to give to them first. So just think of a way that you can kind of help that client as well. So with this whole flow, what I would do is spend some time reading through this and making notes at each particular stage on how you can address each of these. In particular, this is where I would spend a lot of time handling the objections. So again, these are just some examples of what people might say, but again, you may have more specific ones to your offer, to your industry, to your niche. So I'd write all of these down, spend a bit of time mapping out some answers for these, and with this as well, once you've got that prepped, put that into your script, and then I do some role playing as well, which is the whole reason really we set up the daily live sales coaching community, because it's quite nerve-wracking jumping onto a call without practicing this stuff and asking for a sale or handling objections if you haven't really done it before. You can join the community. It's a 7-day free trial, and in there we do 5 calls a week. You can jump on with your offer, any objections, any problems you've got, any deals you're struggling with. We'll work through it together, help you get it cracked, and help improve your win rate. But yeah, I hope this helped. Link to the community will be in the description, and if you have any questions or anything, just pop them in the comments below.